We're back with another video, and today we're going to be working with some dubstep. And I've never really worked or created dubstep, produced it before. This is my first go around. But yeah, I mean, I'm just applying all the other techniques that I know for other genres and just trying to use dubstep sounds. So let's get started. I guess I'll just give you a little preview of what this kind of track feels like, it sounds like, or whatnot. Let's check it out. I'm going to start off here with this bass loop that I labeled mid bass because it kind of fit somewhere in the middle between all the different bass lines. It rolls in A, and you can see I threw just a shit ton of plugins on here. So this is what it sounds like. And that's a result of my plug-in chains going. I also chopped off a nice little chunk here at the end to give it some sustain and release sort of, feeling. So let's see what it sounded like without the plugins. So we added the SPL twin tube, and this one just pretty much made it a little more gritty. And then we added guitar rig over here. And this is transposed and stretched, and then we added a formant filter. Alright, let's go on to the next one. Filter Freak. Next plugin, Phase Mistress. Let's turn this one on. Next plugin, a compressor. See, the thing with this compressor, you can hear it really drastically cut out, and that's because I set up a side chain from this loop sample that I would like to call wobble. And the reason behind that is whenever this wobble hits, you want the gain of this particular track to duck down so that it makes space for the wobble in the mix, because they both lie in that bass frequency range, and when you have multiple tracks that are in the same frequency range, they often tend to muddle one another. So a good way to compensate for that is to use some sort of side chain like I set up right here. And let's throw in this last plug-in, the Decapitator. Let's take off the compressor. So this just totally makes it really gritty. This wobble loop right here, and let's take a listen to this. Alright, now what I did in terms of arranging this thing is I just let it play out, and then I took this other sound, I sampled this sound, that and I threw it right here at the end, and I had to go in and manually transpose these different samples to get them to sound just kind of like how I want it. Like for instance, this one, I lowered that one 3 semitones, as you can see down here, so it originally sounded like this, but I lowered it down. Same with this one right here, this little chunk, I lowered this one 1 semitone, and this one over here, same thing, 1 semitone. Next, I, like normal, I just loaded it with plugins, and I started off, let's turn everything off. I actually didn't use the tremolator. I thought I was going to, and I didn't use guitar rig. But let's turn them all off, and let's see how it sounds. So we added the twin tube. Take a look at this one. And then I added Filter Freak. And then EQ right here. You can see the EQ curve. And then one of my newest favorite plugins, Decimort over here. And this is just, oh, you can really hear it. This is just a bit crusher, and pretty much you can just play around with this. You know, I just started messing around. You know, I found whatever sounded good for me, and yeah, it just destroys the sound. It's really good for getting those dubstep, like grimy dubstep feeling. So right here we have these samples that I labeled bass hits. And I was just browsing through some loops, and I was listening, and my ear caught a couple different segments of some of these loops. So I just sampled out these nice little blocks right here, and then just kind of arranged them together against the other bass lines. And you know, once I treated them, they sound like this. But I'm gonna have to attribute the majority of the timbre for these sounds to this Devastator plugin right here. And this thing, it's up there with, you know, Decimort. It doesn't do bit crushing, it does multi-band distortion, I guess is what they would call it. And I went and I grabbed this plugin called this preset called Dirty Finger Bass, and I started tweaking it to my own liking, and it really just, you know, once again, a nice grimy, gritty dubstep style tone. And you could take it and let's see what it sounded like with the plugin turned off. See, not nearly as grimy as this. Oh yeah, so great. Another thing you can notice that I did here was I double up the drums in certain places. And the reason behind that is I wanted them to stand out more in the higher energy segments of the song as opposed to the lower energy segment one. So I really wanted to bring out the drums. And one method of doing that is to double them up. And I just treated them with their own unique EQ curves. And then at one point I even altered the beat up right over here. See, this is a different break beat that I'm using for the majority of the song. Another thing is you can see in this little gap right here where I have the breakdown, I used this technique that I actually talked about before in creating breakdowns. What you do is you automate a particular track, you automate that signal to one of your Synths tracks, and in this particular instance I automated the signal from Shoutbox to C, return track C, and on return track C I put Echo Boy and the Space Echo plugin. Another, you know, Roland Space Echo emulation. It just, you know, compounds the echo upon itself and just builds it and makes it grimier and grimier and grimier over time. So let's see how this breakdown actually sounds. And you'll also notice the doubled up drums at the end of the breakdown. So here, we'll take it from here. Here I have this leading vocal sample. I labeled it Shoutbox, and of course, you know, I threw plugins on. Let's play it back and then throw the plugins on. So I added this one, Phaserton. Let's see how I've changed it. And then I added this tremolator over here. You can see I just synced the MIDI on the tremolator, so that matched up the tempo to the tempo my session was running at. You can see over here, and I set the rhythm and the accent. So I opted for a 1/32 note rhythm, and I had the accent to full sync. Same thing on these other two vocal tracks right here. except I chopped and rearranged that one vocal sample, and I reversed it and then put it in different places, really chopped it at certain points, and ran it through different plugins on these different tracks. You can see this one, I opted for a crystallizer. See, there's the settings on the crystallizer. I think it's just a stock octave down doubler preset. And then right here on this one, I added Decimort. Let's just take a listen to this one by itself. So when I layered it behind the other cleaner sounded tracks, it still, it wasn't totally distorted, but, it beefed up the overall sound because there was another layer there, and this one, it added a whole another element of distortion to the overall timbre of that vocal sound. So the last thing I'll go over is this outro section over here, right over here. Let's take a listen to it, and then I'll explain these interesting things that I did with the vocals over here. Alright, now, to get those interesting stutter vocal effects, I took the vocal track and then I chopped the hell out of it. So, for instance, I have this sample right here. So if you take that one sample, where I went, and then you layer it a couple different times next to itself, and then finally continue the rest of the sample out, like I did right here, you'll get an interesting effect like this. Same thing over here. Now, you can hear it ringing off in the distance, and that's because I have it sent to this Evox Ping Pong plugin over here. It's on this return track. I set the delay interval to 4, 67% wet, 66 or 60% feedback. But yeah, I guess that's all that there is for this session right here. You can take a listen to the full track on SoundCloud. It's out there. You can download all the samples to this session. They're in raw format. They're all waves. It's in the samples folder of the zip file. And within that, there's also an Ableton Live session. So you could play back this Ableton Live session and work around with that. Check out our website, beatsandsmore.com. For more videos and insights, sample packs, whatnot. You tweet us at beatsandsmore, or check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/beatsandsmore. Until next time, take it easy.